Thanks for joining us on the Adrenaline Rush. I'm your host, Donald Kinney of Dragon Warrior Kung Fu and VelcrOhm.
And I'm your co-host, WIldman Robbie Paige. We want you to sit back, relax, and get ready to listen to a couple of things we want to talk about, because you're in store for what we like to call the Adrenaline Rush.
All right, thanks again for joining us. We're back with another edition of the Adrenaline Rush. Here with me, as always, the Wildman Robbie Paige.
What's going on, Donald? Yeah, so we're going to open up the show. Tell me some stuff you've been up to since the last time we talked.
Mostly we've been editing the first 3 episodes and then, doing regular holiday family activities. We had a interview on Bob Rock's. I sound all staticky, right?
A little bit, not too much.
All right. Had an interview on Bob Rock's on Sunday night, which we went in to record the previous Friday. And there's a cool little video clip of that.
I was up and I listened to it, and the songs were easy to hear, but when you guys were talking, I kept saying, man, what is up with the mic? Because for some reason the levels were like up and down, and I was thinking, man, this is on Bob Rock's. Get your money back.
Yeah, it was a weird situation, which, this is like the 5th time for me being on there. Normally they record it in one of the regular radio studio booths with the professional audio equipment, but they were updating their software or something, so their computers that they normally recorded the stuff onto were all like out of whack.
So they're like, yeah, here's the house
Yeah. Yeah, so they basically gave us like these this set of wireless microphones, and like I think half of them the batteries were dying, and
yeah, which explains why I guess it was like the levels were up and down, because you could hear a couple of the people fine, and then a couple of them sounded like they were like three rooms away. That's how.
Yeah, and I think there was some just generally not talking into the microphones too, because it was a very like long and informal kind of interview where we were just all like around a table holding microphones and
gotcha. Well, I mean, at least regardless of the volume, you were still able to hear the music. You were still able to understand what you were on there for. So it's exposure, and I'm sure it helped in some way.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a good time too. We had a blast hanging out with the guys that work there. Raymond Porter in particular, he's had us on a couple times. I think this is like the 3rd time he's had us on.
Well, that's cool, because now you have connections with that guy, and for maybe some other bands that need somebody else to play with on a show, you could always pitch your all's name and opens up doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, since last time we talked, I've just been working holiday hours, and we had the soccer drafts, which actually went pretty well. I thought there was going to be 10 players on the team, but I guess we didn't have enough kids sign up to have 10 to a team. So right now I have 7 kids. I'm waiting to see if I have an 8th kid, but if not, we'll have 7 on the team. So that means only 2 subs. So when practice starts at the end of this week, it's going to be getting them in running shape, because I'm sure a bunch of them have been sitting around playing video games, including my son. And so we're have to get them doing some sprints and get that cardio up, because with only 2 subs, they're going to be dog tired at the end of a 50-minute game,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of cardio in a short amount of time.
Yeah, big time. The season starts on January 11th, and our first practice is until this Friday. So we're only going to get probably 6 practices before our first game.
Wow.
So we're going to have to utilize the 2 hours of practice and really grind it in them, that get them ready for 4 weeks away, first game. Some of them I know have been not doing much in between fall soccer and now, so they've been kind of lazy the last 2 months, so we'll have to get them back into soccer shape real quick.
It's an interesting thing with the kids these days. My middle son, he's like way smarter than I was at 7 years old, but he can like barely spin around without falling down, or what, you know what I mean? And
coordination's off.
Yeah, and it's weird for me, because I like at that age, I could box and kick above my head and jump rope for 5 minutes straight. You know what I mean? Like,
well, my son, he's athletic and do a lot of stuff, but this new generation is, we had video games growing up, but our parents enforced chores and other stuff like that, and I try to get my son to do stuff, but it's a little bit harder nowadays. They want to argue because they want to play those games all day from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. Back when I was a kid, my dad would just turn the damn game off and tell you to go outside. And if you didn't want to go outside, then you just sat on your bed and looked at the wall because and back then that's what the kids wanted to do, go outside and play and use their imagination and stuff like that. Now they'd rather sit and be hypnotized by the TV screen.
Yeah, it definitely concerns me that we're becoming so much less active as a society.
It's not just the younger generation. It's 22, 23 age too. There's a couple guys that I was training there for a little bit, and I brought them to my house back when I lived back in Shanghai, and I had set up an outdoor training course for them. I had a running trail that me and my son ran, so I just added on to it, and I put chopping wood, digging holes, picking stuff up and moving it, and just putting it to them, right? Like I said, I think they were between 22 and 25, and when they got to the part where they're supposed to dig a hole, they did not know how to dig a hole. And I looked at both of them and was like, you got to be kidding me.
Never used a shovel
You've never
before.
used a shovel before? That just goes to tell you, this new generation, man, they don't know what real physical labor is. And then they go work a job that's not very physical, and they think it's physical. Oh, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because you've never done any physical labor. You feel like, a lot of them feel like, oh, everything needs to be done for them. They just have a rude awakening when they get in the real world,
So, speaking of the real world, you been watching any of the TV wrestling lately?
Actually, this week I've been so busy working and doing everything other than sitting around watching TV. I think I've got to watch Wheel of Fortune 3 times. So I haven't really been watching a lot of wrestling. I've heard a few things. I did hear that Tess Blanchard did.
Oh, she's the Impact champion now.
Yeah, she wrestled Brian Cage and beat him too.
Oh shit!
So everything I said that shouldn't happen happened, and I don't think I'm going to watch Impact for a while unless they're just going to feature RVD the whole time, But I just don't know where you go from that. She beat the biggest dominating dude on the Impact roster after she beat Sami Callihan for the belt. I don't know exactly what happened, if there was interference, what, but like I said, dude, Brian Cage is a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a monster. There's no way that physically believable any way, shape, or form I can believe that in a one-on-one competition that she's going to beat Brian Cage, but somehow, some way, she's still champion, and she did. So it's like, I don't know what Impact is going for by making this move, but they definitely lost any kind of chance of me watching the show for a while. And I'm not saying anything bad about Tess Blanchard, because she's a great wrestler, like I said before, man.
Right.
But put the women's belt on her. Make the Impact Knockout division number one again. They used to be number one. They used to have.
I remember that.
They used to have all the good girls that wrestled, and WWE was more of the show ass and tits and stuff.
Right.
Now WWE's got the top women wrestlers, and your knockouts division's fading away, and you got your top knockout women's wrestler with the man's title. I really haven't. I heard that the Butcher and the Blade debuted on AEW and attacked Cody Rhodes, which I really didn't even know who the Butcher and the Blade was.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah.
And if you listen to the commentating, neither did Jim Ross.
Yeah, no, he did not.
So
that's
to me,
that's happened a few times now, where Jim Ross is like, "And who is this person? And why are they here?"
That's not really making a big impact on something when one of your commentators can't be like, "Oh my God, holy cow, they just showed up at AEW." No, he's like, who are these guys? And like that really doesn't help on the get me over factor.
No, it doesn't. That's actually one of the things I enjoy about watching AEW is when Jim Ross is just kind of like, yeah, we might want to look into doing something different there.
And that's coming from like one of the greatest commentators in the world, and you're making that guy look like an ass because he don't know who these people are that you're debuting on the show. I mean, give the guy a heads up, something, you know, or at least show him.
You think they would have at least slipped him a note with the name on it,
or show him some footage beforehand to be like, hey, these two are, you know, this is what's happening tonight. You know, well, at least he's familiar with who they are, and he's not like on live worldwide television being like, who are these guys? Like that really does, like I said, it does not help with getting them over. I mean, the other commentator knows who they are, but the commentator that everybody knows who he is doesn't know who these people are. So that kind of, it just diminishes the whole thing.
It's the butcher and the blade. Oh, and it's the bunny too. It's the triple B's.
It doesn't do nothing to help get them over when the commentators don't even know who they are, and it's like, oh, okay, they just beat up Cody Rhodes. Who are these guys, and why did they do that? There's nothing to it. So, to me, I thought that was kind of like a wasted opportunity.
One of the things that I'm starting to pick up on is like what you were saying on the dynamics of the match. When you have those matches that are like really over the top, and then you have matches where people who are supposed to be named people in the company are basically jobbing for somebody else. It sends a mixed message, you know.
It would be different if like Jim Ross made that a big deal. Oh my God, it's the Butcher and the Blade here from MLW or something like that, and then it's like, oh my God, these dudes are here from some. Are they with AEW or are they with this place? Well, why are they attacking Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
You know, he's in a feud with somebody else. What is their affiliation with this? There was nothing explained. There was nothing. It was just like, who are these guys and why'd they
come up through the floor like the Undertaker?
That's how it was, and it was like, okay, time to change the channel. I mean, that's what it is to me. Boop. So to me that was just a big wasted opportunity with AEW trying to bring in a new tag team, a new group.
Yeah, it seems like they just thought like, what would be a big moment for these people to make their appearance? You know what I mean? But didn't really think about anything story wise.
Yeah, other than that, that was it. Boom. You know? But in WWE, I did not get to catch any of it this week. Haven't really heard too much about it. I haven't listened to all my podcasts I listened to during my drives because I've just been busy and tired trying to catch up on a little bit of sleep here and there. So I guess by now, if the 3 episodes have been dropped and this one's being recorded right now, by this time this comes out, people already know. I've already posted an announcement on Facebook and probably told a lot of people, but I'll just go ahead and say on the podcast now that it's kind of heartbreaking to me in some way, heavy heart to say it and everything, because almost 16 years being in the wrestling business, for me, right now, you know, you have to have a New Year's resolution going into the new year 2020. And I've put my body, my time, my blood, sweat, and tears for independent wrestling and local leagues in the area. And I may have to have surgery if my second opinion doesn't go better than the first opinion. And my body just needs time to heal up. I just need time to clear my head, venture out on some new projects, some new avenues and alleyways, and spend the time I spend running up and down the road for other people. I need to utilize that time for myself, for my family. So what I'm getting to is in 2020, you won't see the Wild Man on the indie circuit for this time being, for an undetermined amount of time. I just got to kind of step away for a little bit, just walk away a little bit. I don't want to hate everything about it. I don't want to regret things. So I just kind of like I said, clear my head, let my body heal up, do some other things that I've been wanting to do, like this podcast, spend more time with my family, and broaden the horizons for Dragon Warrior Kung Fu. I got a couple projects that I've been talking about with Mountaineer Brand. So I want to focus on that kind of stuff with the time that I have extra when I'm not at work. That's just my announcement for everybody out there that might have seen my Facebook post that I posted up. I just got to kind of step away for a little bit. It doesn't mean that I'm done for good. Doesn't mean that I might not pop up on a show just to say hey or whatever, but I'm not going to take any bookings. I'm not going to, running around doing this and doing that, and I'm going to focus on some other things in life and then maybe come back to wrestling down the road. But right now I just got to focus on me, myself, and I.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the wrestling fans are sad to hear that, but sometimes you got to switch things up a little bit. It sounds like with the injury and the potential surgery, you're kind of in a position where you need to take a little time off to recuperate anyway.
I've only had almost 16 years that I've been in here doing this. The first time I got surgery, I was out of action for 8 months. When I had surgery on my bicep, I was out for 3 months. So in almost 16 years, I've only not been active in the business for 11 months. I have put my body through some stuff, and I've come back pretty quick after that bicep injury and got right back into the mix and everything was going good. But like I said, after over 2,000 matches and 16 years of bumping and falling and getting thrown around and jumping off the top rope and everything like that, man, my body's all that's starting to catch up, and I don't want to. If I can avoid having surgery again and can heal up that way, that's the route I want to go. And if that means I can't wrestle for an undetermined amount of time, then that's the route I'm going to go. And even if I do have to have surgery, I can't wrestle, I can't do nothing, but I'm still trying to work, my regular job. And if I have to have surgery, there goes that.
Sure.
And having one misstep in the wrestling ring, there goes my knee completely, and I'd have to have surgery no matter what. So if I can avoid that happening and just do my everyday thing, and I'm still able to coach, I'm still able to help teach karate, and I just can't overexert myself and do anything stupid, and I can avoid having surgery and I can heal up. It'll take a longer period of time, but if I can avoid surgery, that's the route I got to go. I mean, it's about my family nowadays. It's about that. And if I got to step away and spend more time focusing on my family and myself, that's what the new year's going to bring for me, because I can't keep focusing my time and effort and everything on things that I'm not gaining anything from. And right now, wrestling, to me, I just got to put it on the back burner. I mean, plain and simple, that's just what I got to do. And I hope, people understand that. I hope promoters and guys that are supposed to be my friends and stuff understand that and don't take it the wrong way. But, I'm not running around all month putting up flyers and selling tickets and doing all that stuff anymore when nobody else is doing it either. I'm going to use that time to see my kids grow up and play with them and take them and do stuff and save my gas, and that's just where I'm at right now.
Family time's always good. That can be a more than full-time job within itself.
And working nights too, man, that takes away, because then I come home, I'm sleeping, I get up, I get a few hours with the wife and the kids, and if we got soccer practice, we go to soccer practice. If we got karate, we go to karate. We get back from those things and basically eat something, pack my lunch, and I'm out the door going to work. If I can save some time from out on the road doing this and that, and away on the weekends traveling to shows and stuff like that, and I can spend more time with my family than a few hours a day, I think that's going to make my family a lot happier.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and take our first break today to our commercials and some of our sponsors. Hey, it's WIldman Robbie Paige here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that Mountaineer brand product. I've been using this stuff for quite a while now, and I would say my top 3 things that I use is the sore muscle rub. Man, you can rub it in pretty good. There's no greasy stuff on your fingers afterwards, and it actually works. And I also like beard oil for shaving. It's like a pre-shave oil. Instead of using like the foam or the gels that are going to break out your face, you can use this oil and it makes everything just fall off your face. One other thing that I like is the Mountaineer beard balm. You know, I don't have a big beard. I'm trying to grow it out for the winter here a little bit, but I've been using on that little goatee to try to keep that thing straight, and it's been working. You just got to keep at it. When you get a chance, go to mountaineerbrand.com, check out all their deals. They always got something going on, and whatever they got going on, if you use the promo code WILDMAN15, you'll get an extra 15% off your order. Check out some Mountaineer brand products.
All right, and we're back, and it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the chopping block.
Today's segment on the chopping block, we're going to talk about this dude that's been in the business for a few years. A few places have given him some opportunities, and he's tried a couple different gimmicks, and this dude just, you know, there's some guys that's got it and there's some guys that just don't got it. And this guy just ain't got it, man. And he doesn't understand that unless he commits and dedicates a lot more time to the gym and his in-ring experience, he's going to always be a shitty worker. He's always going to be that guy that is making the business look like crap, like garbage, because he can't sell. He can't bump right. He's out of shape. His punches look like garbage. And I've tried helping him going to their training place before. I see a little bit of hope in the guy. 3 weeks later, I'm working with him on the mats, trying to get him some basic chain down, and he's running out of breath and he's falling over his own feet and stuff like that. You're 30 years old and you're uncoordinated and out of shape like that. You want to be a pro wrestler. You need to take it a lot more serious than what you are, and you're only wrestling one place mostly, and you're wrestling that place because you're friends with the promoter and he's giving you that, hey, buddy, you're my friend, here's a spot on the show. The guy I'm talking about is Jonathan Saft. Good old Sergeant Saft, which is his new gimmick. He's supposed to be a Marine. I don't know if he was really in the military or not, which is ridiculous if he is, because if they're going to let somebody like that in the United States military and I can't get in because I have asthma. And that's another thing. All you guys out there that have ever been in the ring with me or have trained with me, there's not too many guys that can hang with me and my stamina and my endurance, and I got fucking asthma, and these guys are calling themselves pro wrestlers and can't even chain wrestle with me for more than 5 minutes without blowing up and sucking wind and stuff like that. And that's what I'm getting to, like with this guy. I did two seminars for that league that he wrestles for in PA. I'm not going to mention it. Everybody will know who I'm talking about anyway. And I do some seminars, and people are paying, $10 to do the seminar, which is ridiculously low. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big name or nothing, but I got enough experience that I can at least charge $20-$25 if I really wanted to. But I'm trying to get
that's cheap.
enough people interested to do the seminar just about in-ring conditioning. So I had different stages set up around the ring, lifting weights, jump rope, push-ups, sit-ups, squat.
Running like a circuit.
Yeah, like a circuit. And the last circuit, so there was somebody on every circuit, and then who wasn't on a circuit was in the ring with me doing ropes.
Nice.
And it was supposed to be like a 3-hour seminar, right? After about an hour and a half, I tell everybody, let's take a break, get a drink, take a piss. About 30 minutes go by, and what was like a 12-15 group of people is now like a 6-7 group
cut
of
the
people,
field in half, huh?
right? And I'm looking at the promoter like, where'd everybody go? What's going on? And we're not done yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of disrespectful to me. Yeah, I'm making a little bit of money, which isn't much, but I'm spending all this extra time where I could be at home sleeping or spending with my family, like I said. And these guys don't have enough respect to stick it out. Some of them left and went and got food, and some of them just quit, just didn't come back. Then I'm trying to run the second half of the seminar with half, 50% less people. This is ridiculous. This is why your roster is garbage, because these guys don't want to put the effort in to get better. They get blown up and they're out of breath. Instead of walking around and getting their wind back, they go into Sheets and getting a cheeseburger. So Saf is right in there. Oh, I got this new gimmick. It's going to get over. And I'm like, well, what's your new gimmick? And he said, oh, I'm going to do a ring gimmick. I'm like, okay, well, send me a couple promos. Let me see. Well, in his promos, he's talking real soft like this. I'm coming at you.
He's going with the whisper seduction.
Let me ask you something, Saft. I was like, what person have you ever met from the military that talks like that? What person in the military has ever been soft-spoken? No, they're like a drill sergeant. They talk loud. Yeah. They're in your face. They're, that's what I said. You have to do that to get over. I said, the only reason you are over is because that's the gimmick you're doing. It's not because of your in-ring ability, your experience, your ability to control a match and tell a story. It's definitely not that. It's just because you're doing a military gimmick and you come out with the American flag and everybody chants USA. So you think you're over. No, you're over because of that gimmick. If you're over because of that gimmick, now you got to live the gimmick. So get in shape, learn how to wrestle, because if you are a military instructor, sergeant, staff, if you're on the ground, you should know how to wrestle on the ground. You should know how to take somebody down. You should know how to do different reversals and shit like that. You're in the military. They train you to do that kind of shit. So if you got that gimmick and you're out there tripping over your own feet and you're blowing up and sucking wind because you hit the ropes a couple times, you're defeating the purpose of what your gimmick's supposed to be, and you're actually humiliating the people that actually put those uniforms on and go through basic training and grueling shit to call themselves a military person. And I got a raft of shit when I told this dude this. I'm supposed to be there to give you my honest opinion. I'm telling you, you have something to run with, but it's only going to really benefit you if you're the whole package. And if you can't fucking go more than 5 minutes without sucking wind, and then you can't pick nobody up, or you can't get up off the ground, or you don't know to feed to the ropes because you're so blown up you can't get your ass up off the ground, then that tells me you're so out of shape you should not be in the fucking ring. Don't get in the fucking ring, dude. Learn how to wrestle, get in a gym, get in shape, and I don't care who has your back. Oh, everybody gets a chance. Well, yeah, he's had plenty of chances. Think about it. He's been in a few places and he's had plenty of chances and plenty of opportunities to prove to everybody that he can fucking wrestle, and he can't. And you're still putting him on shows and putting him in the ring with guys. And if anybody's under him that's not even had his kind of experience, they're not going to learn anything from him. The match is going to be horrible. And then if you put him in a ring with somebody with experience, he's not going to be able to keep up with them. So until he gets on that level, he shouldn't be in the ring. Jonathan Saft, get in fucking shape and really learn how to wrestle. Or like I said about Brady Hess, take your boots, put them in a barrel, pour some gasoline on them, and burn those bitches, because you shouldn't be in the ring. That's the chopping block for today.
You've been chopped. I don't always use product in my beard, but when I do, I use Mountaineer brand.
That's right. So check out mountaineerbrand.com.
Are you being bullied?
Yeah.
Do you want to learn to defend yourself?
Yes.
You want to learn how to punch?
Yes.
Kick?
Yes.
Sweep?
Yes.
Take them down?
Yes.
Joint lock the wrist?
You know it.
Joint lock the arm?
Of course.
Ankle lock?
You can do that?
Chokeholds?
Of course.
Wrestling?
Yes.
Kickboxing?
Yes.
Total annihilation of the enemy?
Yeah.
Then you need to get on down to Dragon Warrior Kung Fu, where you can learn all of that and more.
All right, and we're back with Adrenaline Rush, episode 4, and it's time for the martial arts lesson of the day with Donald Kenny.
All right, I'm going to continue on the Hungar Kung Fu history. We stopped with Wong Fei Hung, and then his most famous student was Lam Sai Wing, which there's been lots of movies made about Wong Fei Hung. Once Upon a Time in China, the Jackie Chan Drunken Master movies are made about him, even though he would have been using Hung Fist, not Drunken Style.
Drunken Master is one of my favorites.
Still, in that movie, he's Wong Fei Hung in quotations. It's really just Jackie doing his thing. But his student Lam Sai Wing had military service that was esteemed like he did, and quickly grew a school where he taught over 1,000 students their particular brand of Hungar, which is the leading Hungar style today, even though originally there was a few different variations with slightly different collections of animal forms. Lam Sai Wing was starting his school in the time when the Qing dynasty was still taken over, and so there was the conflict between the Chinese kung fu guys who were loyal to the original Chinese government that had been overthrown for quite some time, and it was the old days, and they faced different persecutions for being the people that were conquered. So they wanted to take their country back for that reason, to make their people proud again. So he was involved with like some secret society, underground kung fu clubs and stuff. A lot of those guys were back in those days, and that's how they passed on their kung fu.
You said last time where they had adopted some of their students so they could carry on the teachings.
Certain lineages will actually adopt and give a special name to the students that they want to be the ones to carry on the lineage, so to speak. If you're in those styles, it's where you find the real serious guys, the guys that have another name.
Yeah, they got like six names instead of just one.
Right, yeah. The American kung fu masters that I know, they've all been given a Chinese name. They've reached a certain level where the older guys just get together and say, well, if we all die, it's on you.
It's up to you now, buddy.
Right.
You just got to pass the Jedi stuff.
Right. So that's part of what I've been doing, lately with training in the Pai Lum, trying to get an official Pai Lum lineage, because the people that I've trained with in Kung Fu so far, their teachers were with Pai Lum. They just broke off from the original organization, which technically there was no, when the Grandmaster passed away, specific leader or instructions or anything like that. From my understanding, it was just supposed to be understood that the different top people
from each one would carry on.
From each one would carry on, and at some point would get together and share and compare their curriculums, because he taught his different students that were teachers differently based on what they previously knew when they came to him and what he thought, I guess, best suited them.
That way, when they get together and stuff like that, they could exchange students and train. Yeah,
that was the idea, was that no one of these American teachers had exactly the same set of material. They had a set of material that was catered to their abilities and teaching style. The idea was that, at some point they would get together and share and compare and make a more complete system to be passed down. Of course, with a lot of organizations, when they fall apart, then you have people kind of arguing over who's picking up what pieces and who was senior to who, and that's just the politics of life, unfortunately.
It also depends on who's the more dedicated and who's going to actually carry it on, because I'm sure that there was just some people just trying to get power.
Yeah, that seems to be the situation where a couple different people who weren't expected to step up and be like, I'm the new Grandmaster, did so. Anyway.
so speaking of Pai Lum and the 5 animal forms, when somebody starts, if they've never taken Kung Fu, if they've never heard of Pai Lum, kind of go through what a new student at the dojo would experience, like the first couple things that they would learn that would involve what we teach and what you're talking about.
The first traditional set of Pai Lum material that we teach is the tiger form, which has 3 parts. It's often referred to as the 3 short forms of the tiger. And then each one kind of has its own name and its own concepts that it's teaching. So you would have the first part, which is dealing with minimal movement and developing power with your strikes. Then you start having movements of being able to turn from side to side with power, or to do a evasive spin around move.
For those who would be listening and wouldn't necessarily know what you're talking about, what would be moves with the power and evasive, like the turn with strikes with power?
Starting out, you're doing a traditional martial arts horse stance, and you're pretty much doing all your striking and stuff from the horse stance. So you have to learn to kind of use your hips and your body to get power behind the strikes, because your legs are pretty much tied up with holding yourself in like a squat or a half squat.
Yeah, that's what he's speaking about. The horse stance is kind of like a base. You have like almost like a football base. Your feet are a little bit apart with your knees bent, and your arms are to your side in like a
chamber position.
Chamber. That's what I forgot the word that but yeah, and it's actually a workout on your legs. You get used to that horse stance, and then everything comes from that stance.
Yeah, and then from your posture as well, because you have to learn to kind of keep your body upright in that horse stance. Otherwise, when you go to actually use it for anything, you're leaning too far forward.
And you lose your balance.
Yeah.
So explain from the horse stance, the first couple things that you would show the students would be like their first couple classes. For those of you who might be interested in what we're talking about, moves or basic moves from that horse stance that you're talking about.
Like I said, starting out, it's all about really kind of mastering that horse stance. And some of the arm moves that they use aren't necessarily realistic how you would fight in an actual fight, but it's more designed to develop the striking power in a balanced way in the body. So you might have, bringing both arms in with the forearms flat against each other, crossing the arms in an X in a twisting thrust, or punching out to both sides at the same time. Moves like that kind of are working both sides of the body at the same time.
And it also it creates balance.
Yeah.
So you're not dominant on one side. You're able to balance everything out, so you have the strength in both legs, strength in both arms.
Yeah, and when you go to switch from one move to the next, you have to relax in the moving part to get that timing, tensing the muscles on the impact of the strike and not being tense all the way through.
Yeah, the breathing techniques, like in kickboxing, when you're breathing in, you're getting your air. When you're breathing out, you're tightening up your muscles for the opponent. If they hit you, your muscles are harder that way when you breathe out.
Yeah, you have the compression on the internal organs, and then when the muscles and stuff, but you don't have air in there to get trapped, which is something that always happens. People get hit in the solar plexus, and they get that little bit of air trapped in the bottom of the lungs, and then they feel like they can't breathe in, so they keep trying to breathe in, but you really just got to blow out. You really just got to blow all that air out. So that's the little martial arts trick I always tell beginners. Just breathe out. Just make sure you're blowing it all out,
and everything takes time, and you might take a few times to get it down, but it's not something that's so complicated that not everybody can do, because you can do it if you just have to actually focus. Because like I was saying before, like with me, like it's just getting over the new footwork and the different ways of moving. So like if you're coming in to learn Kung Fu for the first time and you've never had any martial arts experience, you might adapt to it a lot easier than if you already have martial arts experience, because you're trained to do something some way and now you're trying to learn something completely different than that. It's a little bit harder to adapt than if you're coming in with a clean slate.
Yeah, well, I think it goes a little bit of both ways, because then, like when you have someone like yourself, coming in that you haven't necessarily trained with the Kung Fu before, but you have basic martial arts all-around knowledge, and you have lots of years of experience, so you have also great physical fitness.
It makes it easier to do the moves.
Yeah, and extremely easier for me to teach somebody like you, where I'm basically just teaching you new movement patterns. You already understand fighting, and can move.
Yeah, the moves for me isn't what is hard. It's getting to that move with the form and the steps and stuff. That's where I'm taking a little extra time.
And that's not something you're supposed to have right away. That's kind of what makes a kung fu master. When you see him doing his routine, there's a particular gracefulness to how he goes through the movements, and that's something that is just acquired from running through that routine every day for years.
It's also something you don't see a lot.
No, you don't.
Either.
You really don't. Even a lot of these young people who are champion competitors, they've just gotten their fitness up and have practiced that particular routine to win the competition and stuff like that. It's not really the same as developing a particular style over a long period of years.
I guess we'll wrap up the martial arts lesson today with our movie recommendations. So let's go with your 2 picks for this week.
All right, number 1, I'm going to do I believe it's a Mexican film. It's called Kiltro. I mean, it was released in the U.S. at some point. A little bit smaller, under the radar movie. It's called Kiltro, and it starred Marco Zaror, who's like one of the top martial arts stuntmen from Mexico. Chances are you've seen him in action movies and stuff, but a lot of times he's getting
his ass kicked, right?
Killed
as the bad guy or something.
Yeah,
the movie doesn't ring a bell, but I probably, if I seen the dude, I'd probably know who he was.
Yeah, if you've seen like a band of thugs with knives or swords or something like that, there's a good chance he was one of the leaders of that gang. He's in a lot of those superhero shows, getting his ass kicked too. But I think he was in one of the Expendables as well as one of the henchmen or something. One of the bad guys' henchmen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, great martial artist. He does. I think he started out with Taekwondo, so he does a lot of big kicks and kind of flipping around and kicking everybody in the head and stuff, the old school stuff that we like,
So that movie's called Kiltro.
Kiltro, yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. Number 2, I guess I'll have to go with, which Sho Kazugi movie to go with, all right? Yeah, Sho Kazugi, because he did the ninja movies in the 80s. Yeah, and he was responsible for when they did the recent Ninja Assassin movie. I think that might even be his son that starred in that.
Okay. The Ninja Assassin movie was okay, but
yeah,
it was just okay.
Yeah, it was more. And it was cool to see a new high budget ninja movie.
Well, yeah, because they don't do a whole lot of that anymore.
No, Hollywood's doing really very few of the old school action movies with real fighting and stuff.
It's more about explosions and car chases and machine guns.
And you notice, like with Keanu Reeves, he's gotten really big with the John Wick. He started doing kung fu for the original Matrix movie, and he's actually been doing his movies in Hong Kong, I believe, recently, so that he can work with the Chinese people on the action scenes, because they're so much more serious about it.
Yeah, well, and John Wick's not technically a martial arts movie, but I definitely recommend all 3 of them. They're badass, man. And
yeah.
Keanu Reeves, what form is that? That's kind of some Aikido too, right? That he's using in that.
Yeah,
movie.
He's using in those movies. He's using like a mixture of Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo. Takedowns, a lot of variations on takedowns, and being able to deal with the quick hand to hand in a way that's more combat. Put the guy out right away.
Devastating. Devastating.
Which, was how the old stuff was. It was designed for combat, and a lot of it's gotten modified, especially in America, to be more for sport.
For sport, yep. That's cool, yeah, I dig that.
But those judo throws are great. Even though judo is a sport, a lot of those moves, if you do to somebody in combat, that's the end of the situation even right there.
Even in a bar fight or something, somebody comes up behind you and grabs you, and you're able to throw them over your shoulder. Boom.
You do a big full-on throw, and they land in a way they weren't planning on landing. Yeah. Chances are that's pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, you done broke something. Right. Well, I guess I'll go with my 2 recommendations. I don't know why I haven't recommended this one already, but of course it's probably the top movie of my life, and I probably watched it 1,000 times, but I have to say the original Karate Kid, man.
Nice.
That movie, like, inspired. It was probably one of the reasons why I got into martial arts, because of that movie. Just, even though later on I'm a bigger fan with the Cobra Kai and stuff, but back then it was like the kid that got bullied that overcame the odds and beat that bully and changed the face of his life and stuff like that. And now you got the Cobra Kai series, and I recommend that too, man. It's awesome. And it's actually got a great story to it, and hopefully there's a third season coming, because I think this third season they're going to have Johnny and Daniel kind of like work together, I think, because in the last season Kreese took over the Cobra Kai dojo, and
they already kind of laid some groundwork where they had a lot in common and could definitely easily get along if they could put aside their rivalry.
Their kids have got some romance going on, so there's kind of a connection there. And I mean, it's I can actually say it's the first series in a long time that is a kind of a spinoff on a movie that actually stuck with the original story and actually thought about it. You know what I mean? They had to spend.
It's presented very realistic with the dynamics of the characters.
Yes, it's very in depth and sticks to the original story, and in that aspect is one of the reasons I like it a lot, because there's a lot of callbacks or whatever you want to, flashbacks from when they were kids, and it fits into some of what's going on now. And and
there's almost like a role reversal as well.
Yeah, because Daniel's got all the money and he's like snobby.
He's kind of turned into like the rich asshole, which was what the bully was.
Yeah. John,
he was the poor new kid in town,
and Johnny was the spoiled rich kid.
Yeah, the local rich kid was.
And now Johnny's the down on his luck deadbeat karate instructor, and Daniel's got all these car dealerships and billboards everywhere and everything like that. And I mean, I guess I'll just go ahead and say I'll recommend that, even though it's not a movie. I'll go ahead and recommend that the Cobra Kai series, man. It to me,
you kind of have to tie that in with the original movie.
You got to, because
at this point,
you got to. And Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, they're all, I would say, up there. The next Karate Kid, I mean, you can put that in the series because it's still it's supposed to be Daniel's cousin or some kind of relation, I think.
Yeah, and it's got Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi's in it. But then when you go, even though Jackie Chan's in it, the remake, I did not care for very much with Will Smith's son. There was parts of it that I liked, but overall, I didn't like. If you want to put it.
It's an interesting thing there, because I guess Will Smith bought rights to the franchise so that he could, make the movie starring his son, because his son was taking Taekwondo lessons or whatever, and so he had the big, kick that's almost a split. So of course bringing in Jackie Chan, which love Jackie Chan. It doesn't really get much better than that, but but at that point it's the Kung Fu Kid now. Yeah. Jackie Chan is, Chinese Kung Fu, whereas, Mr. Miyagi was supposed to be Okinawan karate, which is actually similar to the Southern Chinese Kung Fu, but it's more simple and focused on being hard-hitting, than
the flashiness.
The Southern styles don't have the big moves. They're more straightforward self-defense fighting. A lot of the flashy moves came from the big battlefield moves of like dealing with spears and stuff.
I guess we'll take another break and have a word from our sponsors.
Do you love Kung Fu movies?
Of course I do.
Do you want to be like Jackie Chan and run through traffic doing backflips?
You know I do.
Do you ever want to beat those ninjas that attack you in the frozen food section of the supermarket?
Always.
Come on down to Dragon Warrior Kung Fu, where you can choose to be a dragon. Sifu Donald Kinney with Dragon Warrior Kung Fu. You can find me on Facebook, Dragon Warrior Kung Fu. You can find me on YouTube, Dragon Warrior Kung Fu. You can come on down and take classes at Extreme Family Fitness on Mondays and Wednesdays from 5 to 6. Classes Tuesdays and Thursdays by appointment. Hit me up, 304-350-0646. And we're back with Adrenaline Rush. Robbie Paige, I understand you have some in-ring advice.
Yeah, we sent out some feelers to some people to get some feedback. We sent a couple rough drafts to some people because we were asking for some feedback and stuff. And some of the people said, hey, well, why don't you give us some in-ring advice, for either wrestler or promoter or a booker or something like that. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. So we'll add a few different segments here and there and talk about some different things. So we're really asking you for your feedback. If you actually listen to this, you can email me at wildmanpage160 at AOL.com. Yes, that's right. You heard that. AOL.com. Or you could email and contact Donald at
dojoguitar at yahoo.com or Donald Kinney or Dragon Warrior Kung Fu on Facebook.
Yeah, and you can find me on Robert Page on Facebook. But so today, in-ring advice, I guess I'll throw this out to a promoter. Anybody who is thinking about promoting a show, or is promoting a show. Aspects that you need to look at are where you're running, what kind of competition do you have in the area that you're thinking about running a show, the date that you're running the shows, whatever dates that you're planning on running, you need to look at the surrounding areas and see if there are any other kind of events, concerts, football games, especially in the area we live. Football is big around here. So if you got a Friday night football game between two rival high schools, chances are the majority of the townsfolk is going to be there. So, we got Shiley Acres around our area. We got monster trucks at Hagerstown. We got a lot of bigger things. We got Charlestown Racetrack's always got comedians and big concerts going on. So if you're especially in this local Berkeley, Jefferson, Morgan County, Hagerstown, I would even say maybe far out as Boonesboro, Winchester. If you're promoting any kind of wrestling in that vicinity, you got to throw in all those factors. I'm sure it's everywhere too, but here, we're talking locally because this is, where the shows that we're involved in or go to, and that's what I kind of consider my local area. You got to throw in all those factors. And that's just to start with. See if you want to put your money up against something else going on in town, or you really got to investigate and see what's going on and plan your show when nothing else is going on so you can maximize the possibility of your attendance. Because that's the goal, is to draw the biggest crowd that you can draw and get them to come back. And that way, when something else is going on, hopefully you have these people that aren't worried about going to see that, and they'll come back to your show instead. That's the ultimate goal. So that's the first thing you got to think about. Then, if you find a building and a place to run and a decent date that you think you're going to draw a crowd, now you got to think about who is going to be on your show. What are you going to be promoting? Are you going to bring in a name? Are you going to spend more money, to bring in a bigger name than your local guys to try to draw? Or are you going to risk not doing that and use your local guys, some surrounding guys, a couple out-of-state guys or whatever, and try to draw a crowd? Once you figure that out, then you got to figure out who is going to be on your shows. What guys are you going to use? What's your budget going to be for the guys you're going to use? Are you willing to spend some money to bring in some decent talent? Or are you going to just be like every other local promoter around the area and use all the same guys, do all the same stories? And then you got to think about who is going to be your booker. Are you going to book your show too? Or are you going to strictly rely on, the ads, the flyers, the promoting? You're going to have somebody else putting your card together, and are you going to decide together who's going to be on the show, or you got to put together the card next? So there's a lot that goes into being a promoter, booker, whatever, but you got to have some kind of a game plan too. So once you figure out where you're going to run and when. You got to figure out what are you going to promote, who's going to be on your show. Then who's going to put together the show? Is it going to be you? You're going to have a booker. Then you got to make sure you agree with the talent on pay, because everybody's different most of the time, unless you got a promoter that's paying everybody one thing and that's it, and it's everywhere. It's different. But to stand out in this area, my belief is you're going to have some of the top local talent. Make sure that it's talent that not everybody uses. And if it is talent that everybody uses, make sure it's somebody that's not going to be held down with a title at somewhere else or something like that. You can utilize them and they're not going to be stuck, oh, well, I got to wrestle on this show today, I can't do this. And I've done it from the top to bottom, so I've booked my show, promoted, I've done all that stuff, so I know what it takes to do it. The best thing to do for a promoter, place, time, when you're going to do it. That's the key thing, because a lot of places I've wrestled for in the last few years, they've ran against Shiley or the monster trucks, and trust me, it doesn't help. I'll quit rambling because I could talk about all this stuff for on and on and on and on. But that's just a little bit of tidbit of advice, that stuff you should think about before you even run a show. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
And now check out this song by VelcrOhm.
Friends advise, his socks got muddy, his feet got tangled in the wire. He's holier than now, attitude, he knows it's not right to make love to you. He wrote you long letters, your silence is rude, but Lucy is waiting in the sky. You're gonna get hurt, and I know damn well that people don't change, they just make excuses. Find a third of the caps you throw, and lose a third of the friends you know. We'll call painters, give us a private show, but Lucy is waiting. Diamond out of her
And that's the show for today. Thank you for joining us on the Adrenaline Rush. I'm Donald Kinney. You can catch me on YouTube, Dragon Warrior Kung Fu, or on Facebook, Dragon Warrior Kung Fu.
And I'm Wildman Robbie Paige. Check me out on Instagram at Wildman Robbie Paige. You go to Facebook and type in Robert Page, and you can go to YouTube and type in Wildman Robbie Paige. A bunch of matches, highlights, videos will come up. Do me a favor and go to mountaineerbrand.com. Check out all their products and use the promo code Wildman15. Save you some money on your order.